I made a small combustion cannon last year, and I started by just shooting potato out of this, making it a miniature potato cannon. This eventually led to creating another video where I made small needle darts which ended up firing at 350 kilometers per hour. In this video, I didn't make any upgrades to the cannon because I was only focused on refining the ammunition being used. Even though this cannon isn't losing energy when you fire it, that doesn't mean the design is as efficient as it can be. After posting these videos, I received hundreds of responses from people telling me improvements I can make to this project.
The gun I made that was inspired by the Gripsion channel.
Some of these suggestions were simple improvements I already had plans on adding to the cannon, while others actually introduced ideas and concepts I'd never even heard of before. I already have some plans on making a more complex version, which will be coming in a future video. As for this, I've still received so many ideas which should improve the performance and power this has. The first but also simplest improvement I'm making to this is extending the barrel. If I extend the barrel, the pressure inside of the chamber has more time to fully build up before the projectile actually finishes leaving the barrel. I bought this metal tube off Amazon, and the inner diameter of this is 4.5 millimeters, which is also the same size as most common BBs. Now, I was planning on making a new chamber for the longer barrel, but I remembered that because the chamber actually has threads on it, I can just make different barrels which all screw onto the same chamber. In the past, I was using hot glue to attach the barrel in the end cap, but for this new barrel, I'm using JB Weld Putty to make it even stronger. A few people gave me the idea to put a magnet at the opening of the barrel so metal BBs would stay in place. I also started making the darts out of Scotch tape to reduce the friction on the inside of the barrel. In my last video using this, I had a white background with black lines, and I was able to figure out how fast the dart was traveling by using this. At the end of this, it took 1/80th of a second to travel 4 feet, which basically equals 320 feet per second. Every time I get a different result, I basically have to redo this to see what the result is. I bought this off Amazon, and I'll explain what it does. This tracks how long it takes for something to go through this spot and through there, and it figures out how many feet per second that thing is moving. Even though filming with a phone is 240 frames per second, something I noticed is when the dart is going over that 4-foot distance, it jumps a couple frames, which should not really be happening. When watching it in slow motion, the dart goes frame by frame over the video, but then it'll just jump to a whole different frame, leaving room in the middle. I'm guessing the dart maybe took a little more than 3 frames to travel over the 4-foot distance, which would definitely change the result that we have. I tested the speed using the short barrel, and the results were much slower than I previously thought. These results were nothing close to what we got on this. I even tried different brands of rubbing alcohol to see if it would make a difference, but I wasn't even able to get this to go over 200 feet per second. I don't know if this was just working better on the day I was doing these tests, or if it's like significantly just not as powerful as I thought. I really want to see this long barrel have a lot better results than what we had here. 285. That is way closer to getting to 300 feet per second. I wanted to see if a bigger spark could generate more power, so I started by taking apart a bug zapper to use as a new ignition. One end of this chamber is sealed with hot glue, but after melting it multiple times to try and get a better seal, it's looking pretty ugly. I ended up making a new chamber with JB Weld Putty to make it more durable. I converted the bug zapper into this, which is also going to be the handle for the new chamber. I had a lot of people telling me that the size of spark in the chamber actually doesn't affect how big the explosion is and how much power this has. That's pretty much what I thought as well, until I remembered something. Spark plugs on a motor create less power if they're dirty because the spark isn't as big. This is also why some people bend this piece up to create an even bigger spark, allowing the fuel to burn even quicker in the motor, creating more power. Just from making these changes, the dart was traveling upwards of 90 feet per second faster than before. I've been using rubbing alcohol this whole time, and although it's a pretty powerful fuel, it comes with its own set of problems. The rubbing alcohol inside of the chamber is constantly off-gassing, which basically means that over time, the air to fuel ratio gets a little bit too rich, reducing the power. If I have fuel sitting in here for more than a minute, it starts getting a lot less powerful with the rubbing alcohol off-gassing. Now, I've tried using butane right from the can into the chamber, but getting the right mixture is still hard. This has been an ongoing issue with this project, but the solution I found was to use any sort of torch which naturally draws in air to mix with the fuel. This torch runs off propane, and if you look right here, there's a little opening in the side. As the propane goes up through here, it passes by these little openings, and that sucks in air to mix with the fuel to get the perfect mixture. No matter how much fuel I put into the chamber, it always has the correct mixture. It's the same mixture for pretty much any torch, including butane ones. I can literally take any torch and it's always going to be the perfect mixture of fuel. I also adjusted the size of dart to fit much tighter in the barrel, allowing the pressure in the chamber even more time to build up. After fixing these issues, this was the result that I got. I tested the speed without the needle to see how much weight affects the speed, and I was very surprised by how much faster it traveled. After seeing these results, I realized that the needle is quite a bit longer than it needs to be on the dart. I made these darts a lot shorter, and this is the result that it had. I've only been shooting this into this piece of foam, which just ends up going into my wall. I'm gonna make some ballistics gel so we can test how much damage it does without just going into my wall every single time. Before I find out how far one of these is going to go into the ballistics gel, there's one more thing I'm going to add to the cannon. I'm going to add a laser. I've never seen this before, but look what happens when you shine a laser on the ballistics gel. I made a new dart which lets the needle actually detach from the cone. What I'm hoping happens is the cone gets left behind in the ballistics gel, but then the needle will break off and keep going farther in because it has a lot less resistance. I'm gonna shoot one of these lead pellets in the ballistics gel because these fire at about 250 feet per second. I wasn't expecting this to go in as far as it did, considering it has a little bit more resistance. Metal pellet almost went as far as the needle. I set up the other ballistics gel, so I'm gonna test some of these breakaway darts. I'm very happy with the amount of power these upgrades were able to provide this with. This thing has come a long ways, but I'm definitely not done yet. If you have ideas to make the next set of upgrades even better, definitely leave a comment down below. I appreciate all the support, and I'll see you next time.